The Royal Statistical Society is in a strong position. It needs to be. The demands upon us today are great. In deep frustration in 1941, Winston Churchill ranted to Edward Bridges, his cabinet secretary, that the utmost confusion is caused when people argue on different figures. He demanded the creation of a central statistical office to provide an agreed body of information which will be accepted and used without question. More than 70 years on, there's still the utmost confusion out there. The evidence put before us rarely presents a fair view of reality. It is often designed to make a point rather than help us understand the full picture. When we put together all the incoming statistical information we receive in a typical day, we see a very strange world. Extremes are amplified. The abnormal seems normal. We are desensitized to what might be shocking. We have a systematically doctored view of the world. We are not given the information that tells us whether what we are presented with is a statistical anomaly or a real effect. Indeed, we are invited to leap to false conclusions that can cause unnecessary hurt and anxiety and drive otherwise sane statisticians to shout at the TV. Statistics need to be presented with more care. The lens through which we receive evidence does not help. Our wonderful information age has brought with it information overload. We are bombarded with words and images, emails, billboards, bulletins, all screaming for our attention. We cannot take it all in. We filter it, sometimes rationally, often not. The data deluge is undifferentiated. What is real evidence and what is prejudice or opinion? How do we judge statistical providence? Where is the signal and where is the noise? Google will find things for us, but not necessarily what we need. An effective search engine for statistical information has not yet, to my knowledge, been developed anywhere. Statistics really need to be looked after properly and put before us in ways that enable us to find what matters most. But even then, with good evidence and the ability to find it, we can still founder. Those using evidence often seem to suspend common sense in their efforts to use it. Evidence only has meaning when attached to a question. It only has utility if the right questions are asked. Statistical evidence is not a substitute for judgment. The mantra of evidence-based policy can be taken to ridiculous extremes. Evidence is always incomplete and provisional. It does not tell you what to do, but used well can help you make better judgments. When evidence is used more humbly, it is more powerful. Humility demands that we must not overclaim, but neither must we underclaim and accept a state of affairs that is not acceptable. It is not acceptable that the news is dominated by the latest sensation without any perspective. It is not acceptable that debate is often settled by he who shouts loudest in a clash of vested interests. It is not acceptable that views so often seem to be founded on anecdote, myth, whim, or prejudice, with no restraint from fact. It is not acceptable that the art of spin has been perfected to the point where there is cynicism about everything. It is not acceptable that in the absence of any trustworthy context, we assume the only world that exists is the world we can see and verify ourselves. It is not acceptable that received wisdom and politically correct opinions are not challenged by evidence. It is not acceptable that the world seems so fragmented that we struggle to understand that there is a bigger picture. Our memory of the founding fathers of the Royal Statistical Society and their successors can fortify us to rise to the challenges we face. The principles set down by Roger Joule and others can give us the ethical basis to act. Let us seize the opportunity for statistics.